This is the 91st minute. Arsenal have played a couple preseason matches this summer. They started with games against Watford and Nuremberg in Europe before making their tour of the US, playing the MLS All-Stars, Manchester United, Barcelona, and they return to England to play Monaco at the Emirates this Wednesday before playing in the Community Shield, which will be their first official match. Let's talk about their preseason a little bit. A lot of new signings. We had Declan Rice, we had Kai Havertz, Julian Timber. Now there's even rumors of a new goalkeeper coming in. Milo, let's talk about your team here. What do you make of the preseason? What's Arteta cooking?
I mean, like, new signings is obviously everyone's eyes on the new signings typically in a preseason, but I got to be honest with you, historically, it's only really in the last couple of years that we've got our transfer business done as early as we have. If you don't have to go back very far to see us sweating it out till the last week of the transfer window, which was extremely frustrating as a fan. And it was something that I think hindered us for many years, especially towards the end of Wenger's reign. And I think that was just about trying to find the best bang for the buck. So first of all, good business done early. Gives you a chance to get the lads together. The games we've played, the goals we've scored, you and I have discussed preseason how I feel about it. Like, I'm much more concerned about the fitness issue, getting the guys fit, having them bond a little bit. Obviously the business end of the season starts very, very shortly. When you think about it, it's a short preseason. What I've seen from Arteta in some of these friendlies is him try a few different things. And, there's a couple of moments I want to touch upon, and obviously I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on it. And it'll be interesting because you're both obviously United fans, so it'll be interesting.
I'm neutral. I'm neutral,
You're neutral?
I'm neutral.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, okay. Everyone's like, okay.
yeah. We believe you, Kurt. We believe you. Yeah.
So one thing I've noticed, Gabriel has been talked about quite a lot at centre back, and obviously last season we had some doubts about him, which didn't really come in until the Saliba injury. So I think I've said to you guys before, I really think he plays with more confidence if it's just him and Saliba. And in preseason here, we've seen Timber tried next to him, we've seen Saliba tried next to him, only for a very, very short period so far. I don't know what Arteta's going to go with when we hit the Community Shield. I do think he will treat that seriously. I think the team we field in the Community Shield will likely be the team that starts the Premier League campaign. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't. But I do think he's got some selection headaches already, which for me is good because I wanted depth. I wanted some quality to choose from. Gabriel's weakest performances, interestingly enough, because I've looked into it a little bit because there was a lot of talk about him, have come when he's and what Arteta tried him as like a central centre-back, particularly in that Man United game for the first half. He was kind of a central centre-back in a three centre-back kind of defensive formation. And all of his best performances in the past have come when he's a left centre-back in a two centre-back system. So maybe some growing pains there for him. I mean, Arteta's going to try different things, especially with Timber's versatility, Ben White's versatility, Tomiyasu's versatility. It gives him options, but what I want to see now as a fan is one of those pairings really stake a claim, and to do that, they're going to have to be an absolute brick wall, right? So I don't know. I don't know, I don't know what it's going to be. I suspect it will be Saliba, Gabriel that start the season. Maybe Timber will start on the right. Maybe he'll start with three at the back, three centre backs. I don't know, but I suspect he might pick up where we left off last season. A lot of question marks about Ramsdale as well, particularly from some rival fans. But Ramsdale, has been a great shot stopper at times. Distribution, footwork's been okay. Couple of mistakes. All keepers make mistakes. It's very rare. We talked about this during the David De Gea segment, which you can find on YouTube. All keepers make mistakes, right? It's not very rare. I don't think you'll ever find a keeper that's infallible. So this potential Raya coming in is a really interesting one for me. I'd love there to be a competition, and Raya, statistically, somebody sent me a bunch of stats. Statistically, looks like he would be better, but obviously he faced a lot more of the ball, so his stats are inflated by the amount of touches he gets and all that kind of good stuff. Offensively, for Arsenal, like I'm not concerned about, really. I think there's goals throughout. I think there's going to be some interesting decisions he's got to make. We've seen Havertz play up front this preseason. We've seen him play in a 2 up front with Nketiah. I mean, there's no way we're starting the season like that. So, you know what I mean? Like, that was a starting duo in one of the preseason games up top. I think one of my favorite things, and I noted this down, is the fluidity that we have in our front group is really, really pleasing to me. So you've got Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, who against Barcelona the other night came inside in central far more often, and Jesus was peeling out to the left side. So it really players that can interchange in amongst that front sort of 5 positions. And I don't think our season will live or die on that end of the pitch. I think it's all going to come down to how good is the defense, how much does Rice contribute to, or Partey, or both. If we're playing maybe we'll play 2 defensive-minded midfielders at some stage. I think it's all going to come down to that area of the pitch for Arsenal for this season. What do you guys think?
I was just thinking, like, you mentioned Havertz, Rice and Timber. Raya might be coming in. Is there any transfers that, or is there a position that still needs strengthening? Because, I mean, other than an actual out-and-out striker, you've basically strengthened attacking positions with Havertz, midfield with Declan Rice, and defence, and I don't think you need another goalkeeper. I think if you buy David Raya, then you've got too good a goalkeeper on the bench, which is a first world problem, isn't it? It's a good problem to have, but I don't think Ramsdale deserves dropping, and I can't see Raya coming in and being happy being a cup goalkeeper. I don't understand how you keep that happy, but that's a different. My question is, as an Arsenal fan, what do you think about potential other positions that need strengthening or more depth or something?
I think sooner or later we're gonna want a sort of out and out option up front, and it's not Havertz, it's not Jesus. Do you know what I mean? Right. Like, sooner or later we're gonna need an option for that, and maybe that's something that might be missing in certain games this season. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's going to rely on Havertz's height to get stuck in in the event that we're playing a game where you want a sort of more physical presence up there. Jesus drops deep so much. We've talked about it. He's such a false 9 really in that formation, and Saka and Martinelli or Trossard or whoever sort of nipping in behind. So I think I can understand why we haven't targeted a centre forward, but I think at some point we'll have to.
Yeah. Carl?
Yeah. How crucial do you think it is getting? So the criticism of Ramsdale, at least through preseason, and you could argue last season as well, is his distribution, with the ball at the feet, etc. Right? You see it with other clubs like Man City and Liverpool, and now United with Onana. These ball-playing center backs who give the +1 advantage, right, in the build-up. Ramsdale, he's still young, right? He's 24, 25?
24, yes, I think he's 24.
So potentially he could train to learn these things. Raya is, I believe, 27, I think. So, Raya can play with the ball at his feet. He's comfortable. I believe one of Arsenal's coaching staff worked with Raya at Brentford previously.
That's what I read. Yeah.
Yeah, so the goalkeeping coach, or one of the goalkeeping coaches. So I do feel like it's been such a ruthless summer for Arsenal in the transfer market. Why stop? Finish it. Raya could be the difference between a Champions League, round of 16 win, or finish versus a a quarterfinal finish versus maybe even a semifinal finish. If you can have that control in Europe, So I think like that's the criticism. I mean, we'll talk about United later, but in Europe, United struggled in these technical games where the +1 at the back makes a massive advantage in controlling games. So I think Arsenal might as well. You're right there. Might as well go for that extra plus at the goalkeeper position. But now I think they're saying 40 million euro for him, or 40 million pounds. So it might be a little too steep, or something like that's got to happen.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, the thing about Ramsdale, like, I think people are being a little harsh on him, because in the early part of the season there were many games where he really did come up quite big for us, and he did. Compared to what we'd seen before, there was a lot of praise of his footwork and that sort of thing. So obviously when you're a keeper, it's only your mistakes that highlighted, right?
Yeah.
That's just it. That just comes with the job, unfortunately. Like if Ramsdale makes 8 nice, clean, crisp passes in a game and then one of them goes awry, that's all that anyone will ever talk about. So look, if we bring in another keeper who's better than Ramsdale, or at least competes with Ramsdale, because and we'll get to that a little bit too, I'm not going to be against it, because I think it will make Ramsdale better, and I think it will make our team better and stronger for the season ahead, right? So it's a win. If we do nothing, I can live with Ramsdale as our number 1 keeper, but if Matt Turner's on his way out because he wants to start somewhere, I mean, I'm disappointed that Turner hasn't been able to put up any kind of fight. You know what I mean? He's not made it difficult for Ramsdale to keep his job, and I think you do need a bit of that for keepers, right?
He was your cup keeper.
Yeah,
he played in all the cups, and then I think the Europa League knockout stage, Ramsdale came back in. I think, right? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, and look, there's nothing Turner did that stood out to me as like, oh my god, that's why he's not playing, right? It's just that the people that work with him every day weren't seeing what they wanted to see. Right. And I guess that's we have to trust that the coaching staff and everyone else, they have set targets that they want to see, and if you get, if he'd have come in and been lights out in one of those cup games, maybe he would have had a chance. You just don't know, right?
Ramsdale is definitely clear of Turner. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder maybe if maybe it could be possible January signing. Maybe this is just kind of like a
feeling him out,
like almost like a threat to Ramsdale or something, like almost like a listen, maybe, we're not afraid. You got the number 1 kit, or number 1 jersey, but we're not afraid to upgrade. We're not afraid to upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of those games are played publicly, right? I would think so. So I mean, it could be part of that. But again, if Turner goes, I mean, what does that leave us with? Runnison?
I was thinking that, because Runnison was on loan all of last season, and I assume he's come back this year.
I believe so.
He's back at Arsenal. So it was an interesting thing to see if Turner goes and you don't get another goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. But I guess then you're in a similar position to United, right? We're trying to sell Henderson, and we've got rid of De Gea, and we only have Onana and then Tom Heaton.
Yeah.
And I don't think Tom Heaton's expecting to be our first choice backup. I mean, he's done a good job pre-season. We'll get into that later, but yeah, it's an interesting situation, actually.
Looking back, if the squad is set how it is going into the season, it will be interesting in May, looking at what cost us, if something cost us. When I say it's the defensive end of the pitch, I include the keeper in that. I just think that end of the pitch will define our season. You know what I mean?
What is a good season then? What pre-season we've seen so far? You said you're expecting Arteta to take the Charity Shield seriously and play probably your strongest team. So what is a good season? Obviously, you were the closest team pushing Man City last year. People saying we bottled it. I think Man City would just steamroll anyone. But what's a good season for Arsenal next year?
For me, it has to be a title challenge. I can't say that winning it is the only acceptable outcome, because I just don't think that's realistic to say. If we've spent a lot of money, we've strengthened in areas. I hope that we can be in the fight for that title again. That's I mean, top 4 is an absolute minimum.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Absolute minimum. But title fight is what I expect after last season.
And then what about cups in Europe? Have you got any? Do you think they're secondary?
I think the League Cup is secondary as usual. I love the FA Cup. That's no secret. We've talked about it a million times on the show. I would love us to have a crack at that, but with the Champions League now, you know, I think that a lot of eggs are going to be put in that basket as well, because it's the one that eludes us, isn't it? You know, it's.
I think the way Europe is.
Yeah.
I think the way Europe is now. I think that's where Raya. Right. I think for Champions League caliber teams, you need that. I think that's becoming a requirement, that to be able to control the game from the back. I think that's what I don't want to talk too much about United, but when people were talking about replacing De Gea, I was saying we could replace De Gea, or replace our kind of old school goalkeeper with a ball playing goalkeeper. That will help us challenge for Champions League or something like that. But other areas need to be addressed first before you even think about that, right? So. And I think Arsenal have addressed most of it. I think if you think about who played the most for you guys last season, I think Saka and Odegaard played almost every game, I want to say. So I think with Odegaard, you've got Havertz, a little bit of depth there. And for Saka, I don't know if maybe Reece Nelson will get more minutes. I mean, I don't know who can.
Yeah, you got Nelson, you got Trossard is fairly willing to move. Martinelli can go
Still
out.
Got Balogun,
right?
Left. Still got Balogun
at the moment. I do expect him to be gone before the end of the window. But I think no news on what they're doing with Marquinhos yet either. I don't know if he's going to get some appearances off the bench this season. So there's another one there. I mean, I think it's interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team plays in those European games as well. Like, because at times last season, I think even you admitted they were kind of a young, kind of an exciting team to watch. The brand of football was pretty swashbuckling and entertaining to watch, right, from a neutral perspective.
Last season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I said preseason. Yeah, last season.
So I think I'd like to see that continue. I'm interested to see how that, how they do in Europe as well. It's going to be good.
Is it going to be tough? Because obviously no European football last year. This is a big step up in terms of amount of games. It's a big step up in how many extra games you now have to play because of European football. Because Arsenal go straight into the group stage of the Champions League, don't they? They don't have to qualify, finishing second. So, is it a test for Arteta, and as in squad management and rotation?
I mean, of course. I think we've seen some very, very seasoned managers get caught out or punished by that in the past, right? Like, so it's definitely something that is going to give him something else to think about. But it's again, like you said earlier, it's first world problem, isn't it? It's a problem you'd much rather have than not. You're at the table, you pulled up a chair, and I mean, honestly, going back into the Champions League this season, I suspect a lot of it. I don't know, because I think Arteta's quite clear about what he wants to see from the team, and they don't always follow. I think that last season towards the end, he's like, that's not what we talked about all week. What I saw there is not what we talked about all week long. So he needs to curb those moments in the league and in the Champions League. So obviously you just get less time to prepare for each opponent as well.
Okay.
So Balogun's linked to Inter Milan, and I think the price is 35 to 40 million, I believe. I think he was I want to say he was the highest scoring under 21 player in the top 5 leagues, I want to say, something like that.
I think he was.
I think just the valuation may tell you what you need to know about the French league, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's what it is.
I mean, unless Mbappe's Mbappe, right? You can't really compare Balogun to Mbappe, but obviously they did play in the same league, so that's really the only comparison I would make between the two. Look, Balogun through the youth system was really good. Lots of high hopes for him. You need to seize your opportunity though. Like you've come back. Like what's he look like in training? I'm not there. I've watched as much of the preseason as I can. I'm not seeing what they're seeing on the training field every day. I don't know what physically condition he's in. compared to what they want their players to be in, you know, when they do all those kind of tests, which they do. And I'm sure they have tons of data now on their fitness and everything that we have no access to. You know, I just think, had he come back and just been firing on all cylinders and just banging in goals in the preseason, I think it's a no-brainer. You try and flog Eddie, don't you?
How much did he play much in the preseason?
Well, and again, that's what I'm talking about. He started the first 2 preseason games, I think. I mean, he you know, like, I don't want to be too hard on him because it's difficult, right? You're coming into a group that's played together, especially offensively. They've played together for at least 6 months, most of them for the entire year. And then you've got to come in and break into that. So his decision really is, do I stay and fight for that number 1 spot and prove that I'm a better center forward than Jesus and I can contribute more, right? His decision is that, or take the easier option, which will be go somewhere and start afresh and be the center forward.
Yeah, and he'll probably get
those are the 2 options.
He'll probably get a better deal as well if he goes somewhere else, right? Arsenal probably don't want to pay him.
Yeah. But I mean, it's tough coming. I think it is tough coming back from on loan. You know what I mean? Like it's if you haven't shown that killer instinct at any point in preseason, in training, you know, if you're not showing them what you can do, you're not going to get the opportunity. And maybe you will prove them wrong. I mean, it's happened with plenty of players in the past.
Yeah,
I'd like him to do well. I mean, he's been in the youth system for, you know, a long time. And obviously you all hope that the players that come through your youth system break into the first team and become a star, right? That's the dream.
Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. Yeah.
Even if it means go out on loan once or twice. But, you know, Eddie's gone out on loan once or twice. He's come back and he's done a job off the bench and he hasn't complained and he's got on with it. And he still hasn't shown that he deserves a starting berth. And I think we can see why, right? Maybe Balogun, if he stuck it out, maybe he would prove that. I just don't know. I don't think he's got the patience for that though.
I wonder if it's Balogun is better than Nketiah, but not better than Jesus situation, where, you know, it's just maybe, basically like Balogun, they would have to pay Balogun maybe more than Nketiah to keep him there. I don't know what Nketiah is on, but maybe that's the situation where it literally comes down to, you know, salary restrictions for a bench player, you know.
Yeah, maybe. They obviously watched, you know, they would have watched all his games, right? They would have at least had a member of staff watching every game he played.
But the contract that Jesus has, I feel like you got to kind of back him, you know. Obviously, yeah, there's a scenario where Balogun comes on and with his odd chance in the cup here and there and plays better than Jesus and gets the start, but you also you put trust into Jesus, and you I don't know, if you don't want to shake that up. I don't think, maybe you never know what Jesus is going to do.
What I'm worried about Balogun is he's going to become the next Nicholas Bentner. Now, by that, I don't mean that he's going to call himself a lord and live like a king and all the rest of it. But like Bentner, good goal scorer, like he could bang in goals, right? But he just never was able to take that at the big teams. He could never take that. My thing is like you said earlier, Milo, I think it comes down to what they see in training. And if Nketiah is not a gooder player but works harder, that's what I would prefer as a backup striker. Someone that can come on and work their ass off when you really need a goal. Like, and look at the job he did when Jesus was out. I mean, he was really, really good, guys, when Jesus was out. We didn't really miss him.
Yeah, goal scoring patch, didn't they, Nketiah, when Jesus was first injured, yeah.
And they were all, you know, they weren't going to be the same kind of goals, right? They're going to be maybe some tap-ins, maybe some headers from 2 yards out, but that's what you need, right? Just a different option. I mean, look, I'd love to see, like I said, I would love for Balogun to make it, and you look at that season he's had and you think, yeah, but I have to, I'm trusting the club on that one, because they're obviously not seeing something that they want to see if they let him go.
last thing before we wrap up this section, Community Shield coming up on Sunday. Predictions. Any predictions for this Community Shield? City, the first game of the season, Charity Shield, Community Shield, whatever you want to call it.
A City fan, I won't name names, said to me the other day that you all know who he is.
Yeah.
But they said to me the other day, in his opinion, City will not take the Community Shield that seriously. Be a squad rotation. I mean, I think if Haaland starts, we know that's BS, right? If Haaland plays, they're going. You know.
I don't know about that, but
I don't know. See, the guy's a machine, man. I'm really intrigued to see what kind of season he has. Is he just gonna continue on? Because I mean, phenomenal first season.
I mean, on paper, City's only become weaker so far. So, we'll see.
The Community Shield, though, means, let's be honest, nothing. Liverpool won it 3-1 last year, and everyone was declaring Núñez to be the best striker in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like
it is literally it's a curtain raiser. That is all it is. It's always ever been is a curtain raiser. You know, and people say, oh, if you win it, you know, it's a statement. I'm pretty sure Liverpool were saying it was a statement last time, and in the grand scheme, I'd like us to beat them just for a little seed, and it's been a while since we beat them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like I'd like to beat them. Prediction penalty shootout.
Oh. Okay.
And
Arsenal win. That's
Arsenal
what I'm going
win.
with.
Or is that penalty shootout? Who wins?
City will win on penalties.
Okay.
Because Ramsdale won't save any.
2-1 Arsenal in 90 minutes. That's what I'm going.
I'll go 3-1 Arsenal.
I mean, like, you guys know I'm somewhat pessimistic till around March. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And I was right, was I not? So there you go.
So, what are Arsenal winning this year then? Final question from me before we move on. What are Arsenal winning this year?
I'm not going to be held on record saying we're going to win X.
But I mean it for a clickbaity title.
Yeah, I know you do. But yeah, that's right. I'm like, why is he trying to get this out of me? He knows I won't commit to that.
I know.
We are going to fight on three fronts. That's what I think. I think we'll fight on three fronts.
Yeah,
I think you guys win the league. I think you guys will win the league. 100%.
Really?
100%.
Put it in the title. No, I'm kidding.
Go in the title.
No. No, I look, if it's not okay, on paper, Arsenal should definitely close the gap on City. If City doesn't sign anybody else, right? Mahrez, Gundogan, both gone. Big players in my opinion. I mean, Mahrez, massive depth. Gundogan literally won them the title last year. I mean, he comes up big. I don't know if Kovacic will have that big an influence right away. I don't know. I just think Arsenal have strengthened so much that they definitely need to close the gap on City, if not pass them. And it just depends on if anyone else makes a challenge. I think it really. I think there has to be a third party here for Arsenal not to be in the favorite. Not obviously City are the favorites, but in my mind, if Arsenal can keep the momentum they had last season, obviously injuries, everything, they should be challenging. They should be strong favorites, not favorites, but strong challengers. I mean,
there needs to be other teams in the mix for us to overcome City as well. I think they need to drop points somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need more games which could go either way between the top competitors. And I just don't think you saw that this last season. And in general from City, of late. It's just...
This is what I love about this upcoming season, is that I'm the opposite of Cart for Arsenal. I think Arsenal are going to just about get top 4. I think with the added Champions League pressure of how well they did last year, because Arsenal had a fantastic season last year. I'm not one of those people that said they bottled it. I probably did as a joke to you, Milo, but I honestly think they had a really good season. Man City were obviously going to steamroll the league. Because I've not seen Arteta manage a squad with the Champions League, with that sort of routine of Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, with a couple of Sundays thrown in, or a Tuesday game in the Champions League. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. I think it will take its toll. I'll revisit that in January, but yeah. Third, I can't see anyone. My problem is I can't see anyone but Man City running away with it again, because even if they've lost players, I think they've just got so much money they go and fix it in January. So, but
I know this segment is kind of Arsenal pre-season. I mean, do you want to? I'd like to know who else you think will be in that top 4.
All right, the cultured is saying basically, guys, for the title, Arsenal are finishing 7th.
If you enjoyed the content, please do subscribe to the 91st Minute here on YouTube and use the links in the descriptions to follow us on all social media platforms.